Hello, everyone, and welcome to MIC TV. Today, we're going to be discussing email marketing versus social media marketing and how to effectively use both these tools to build a loyal fan base. If you don't know, I am your host, Greg Ferriolo, along with my friend and partner, TJ Peterson.
Hello, everyone.
This week, I pronounced my last name wrong just to make you feel better from that one week that I pronounced your name wrong.
I've forgiven you. You keep mentioning it. I'm past it.
Just keep beating myself up over it. Anyway, if it's your first time joining us, TJ and I would both like to welcome you to the MIC community, and we ask that you please just say hello in the chat, drop your name, any information you want to know about us. If you have social media links that you want to share, drop all that into the comment section so we can check you out later, and our community members can do the same. All right. Now, also, too, before we get started, if you ever need anything, you can find us at our website, www.musicianindycoalition.com. TJ will drop a link for that in the comments right now. And if you aren't aware, it has some great resources for musicians, and you can see all the ways that we can work together if you are in need of help with your music career. All right. Enough of the introduction. Let's just dive into the topic. So today, again, we're going to be discussing email marketing versus social media marketing and how effectively to use both these tools to build a loyal fan base. Now, in one of our previous shows, we discussed the importance of having a customer funnel. And for those of you that missed it, your customer funnel is a system that you basically use to attract, engage, and monetize your audience both online and in person. And when you use this effectively, the funnel you create will basically transform your casual followers into fans, and then your fans into financial supporters through a process known as the buyer's journey. Now, as I'm sure everyone is aware watching, having a successful music career solely depends on the support of your fans. So you need to have some sort of a system in place that will nurture your relationship with your audience so that they'll financially support your career. Because people that don't know you will never pay you enough money to actually take care of yourself and buy things like, food and pay for your rent and all that kind of stuff. So you really need to understand and have a system in place for developing your relationship with your fans. Now, a common misconception that we find that most musicians have is they believe a loyal fan base simply comes from having great music. If someone likes your music, then they're going to support you. And if they don't, then they won't. Well, in today's music industry, that's just simply not true, because there is a huge difference between having followers that just like and listen to your music versus having fans that not only like and listen to your music, but care about you enough to the point where they're actually going to support your career. Now, to make this distinction even clearer, followers will like your posts and they'll stream your songs, but fans will share and comment on all your posts, and then they're going to go and buy your music or even donate to your crowdfunding campaigns just so that they can support you. So the support of a follower will give you a lot more support of your diehard fans, and the people that really care about you are going to be what you need to launch a full-time and create a full-time music career. Because at the end of the day, you can't live off music streaming, no matter what streaming services tell you. This is why simply having great music isn't enough, and why it's so important to focus on building your relationship with your audience. Now, the question is, how do you build that strong relationship with your audience and make them your loyal fans? Well, the simple answer is you need to become friends with them. And the good thing is most people know how to make friends with people. It's a trait that most people have. So it's not like you have to go to business school to do it. It's just something that you inherently know. And friends are simply people that you have things in common with and that you enjoy being around. So you'll begin that process of building a loyal fan base by looking for people you have things in common with. And then as you get to meet those people, you need to spend some time getting to know them and slowly work your way up to the point where they'll be paying to attend shows and, supporting your, crowdfunding campaigns and all the projects that you're working on. Now, if your goal is to have million fans or millions and millions of fans, obviously this technique won't want work for building that entire fan base. But early on in your career, when you're just starting out and you're not a full-time artist, you're going to be building what we call your initial audience, meaning your first 1,000 fans. And we get to that 1,000 number by using the 1,000 true fans approach, which again, if you haven't seen our episodes, basically means if you have 1,000 fans and you get them to spend $100 a year on your music career, which is selling them some CDs or any type of music that you might possess, and then getting them to buy some shows and getting them to buy some merchandise and all that kind of stuff, basically from those 1,000 people that really care about you, getting them to pay you $100, you'll be making $100,000 a year, which most people can live off on. So you need to spend time getting to know these people to get them to the point where they will actually become true fans, so they can get to that point where you can be earning a full-time living off them. So again, while we're talking about this, if you want to get to the point where you have 1 million fans, you first need to start as someone that is looking to build their first loyal fan base, because it's that loyal fan base that's actually going to support you. And once you have that, it's going to be easier to scale and incrementally grow your fan base, because you'll have that group of people's help and financial support. Also, before you're full time, if you're working a day job and doing 20,000 other things, it's going to be really difficult for you to put the time and energy in that you need to get to the point where you have 1 million fans. So the first step in anything when you're becoming a musician is your first goal is to become a full-time musician, and that's by earning a full-time living, and that's why we focus on your initial audience. Now, to nurture this relationship with your fans, you need to interact with them both in person and online. So today we are going to be discussing the email marketing versus social media, which are the two of the main things that you're going to focus on when you're building and nurturing your relationship with your audience online. And we're going to cover how to effectively use both of these tools to build your fan base, make them loyal to you so that they support you. And we're also going to discuss some of the pros and cons of both. All right, so let's dive in and talk first with social media. Because at the end of the day, social media is where most artists and bands focus their time. Now, the purpose of social media is to allow people to be social and maintain their relationships with one another on a daily basis. Now, when social media first launched, it was a groundbreaking resource for musicians because they could easily market themselves to their audience. And for the first time, musicians didn't have to be in a major music market like New York, LA, or Nashville to pursue a music career. All they needed was either their smartphone and or their laptop. And then came the updates later on with the algorithm. And now it's next to impossible to get organic reach on these services, which means if you have 10,000 followers on these social media services, most of those followers are never going to see your posts unless you pay for advertising, which, isn't in most, artists and bands budgets. So engaging with your audience through social media isn't only difficult nowadays, but it's also pretty frustrating. You spend a lot of time building up an audience, and then you can't actually talk to them. It's really difficult and really annoying. Now, that doesn't mean that these services don't have value. You just need to work harder for them to be effective. Now, I cannot talk today, TJ, I swear to God. Now, when maintaining your social media presence, first and foremost, we recommend having a presence on each platform, but only really focusing your efforts on being great at one of them, whether that be Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. The reason being, the more time you spend on one task, the less time you have to spend for others. So if you try to be an expert at all these different services, you're going to be spread so thin, you're not going to be good at any of them. So it's really important that you choose one. Now, which one you choose will simply be determined on what services you like to use, as well as the services that your audience uses. Now, the first step when you're actually on social media in nurturing your audience on these platforms is going to be releasing consistent content that reflects your brand. Now, your brand, if you don't know, reflects how you want to portray yourself to your audience, meaning what you and your music essentially stand for. Now, it's your brand that will show your audience what you have in common with them, and will make them pay more attention to you and your career. So when we're talking about making friends, this is how you actually go about utilizing it. if you see people that have the same things in common with you, you're going to gravitate towards those people. So you want to kind of take some time to really think about what those things are going to be for you in your career, and then you want to include them in the posts that you're going to be placing online for people to see and interact with. Now, once you have a system in place where you're doing that on a consistent basis, as you continue to gain followers, your next step is going to be to personally welcome everyone that joins and starts to follow your community by sending them a direct message. Now, in that message, you want to do things like thank them for following you and welcome them to your community. You want to introduce yourself, maybe ask them a question about themselves, or tell them something personal about you that you want them to know, and then let them know the best place to interact with you. Your main goal being here that you want to get them to try to join your mailing list by visiting your website. So you can actually include that link right in the welcome message that you supply to them. Now, you can also promote things instead if you have like a Patreon page and that's your main point of focus. But we really recommend here capturing their contact information by having them sign up for your mailing list. Why? Because next to your music, your email list is probably the most important asset you have, because it contains all your fans' contact information. And then once you have your fans' contact information, then you can always go and get them to sign up for your Patreon or attend a live show or whatever it is. But you first and foremost need to establish a line of communication that you control. And that's by getting their contact information and or email. Now, here are several reasons why an email list is so important for musicians. First, it's important that you own your connection with your audience, meaning you want to have the ability to connect with your fans without having to pay for advertising or deal with social media algorithms. Right now, if all your fans are on social media and you don't have an email list, then these social media companies control your communication with your audience. You don't want to have that happen. You want to be able to talk to your fans, your audience, your customers whenever you want. And that only comes by having their email, so you can actually reach out to them. Now, the next reason here why email is so important is statistics show that email marketing is way more effective than social media marketing. It's also way less expensive. If you think about it, like if you want to connect with people on social media, you're paying for advertising, minimum $5, $20, $30 a day, or paying to boost posts. Whereas email marketing, maybe it might come from a monthly fee if you have a lot of followers, but a lot of the services you can get by with for free. And you can send out, 1, 2, 4 emails a month to your audience and be able to hopefully connect with them on one of those messages. Now, the other thing that makes email so great is it's never going to go away. Whereas your connection with your fans is through social media, then you do run the risk of losing your audience should anything happen to that service. Now, you might think there's no danger of social media sites going away, but a platform can lose its popularity, like in the case of MySpace. A lot of musicians lost their career for that. Or earlier, last year or this year, where TikTok was having all those problems with the government, and there was a risk of them actually shutting TikTok down. Now, that didn't happen, but if it had, and your entire fan base and audience was on TikTok, you didn't have a way to contact those people ever again, you would have lost your entire audience. So we really want to stress here the importance of collecting an email address, and that is because you need to have that connection with your audience. Now, the most important aspect of collecting an email address isn't the fact that you have their contact information or anything else you might have read online. The most important aspect of it is what it signifies. Now, when someone gives you their email address, they're saying that they want to take a more active part in your career. Now, this is the actual moment when a follower that has just been kind of casual liking your post becomes a fan, because they want to become more involved in your career. That's why they're giving you your email for it. They're saying, hey, yeah, I would be interested in learning when your next show is, or when your next release is, or whatever it is you have going on, so much so that I actually want that to come to my inbox so I can look at it and read it. And that's an important thing for you to know, because it means that you can start really begin to focus in on that person or group of people and start making them or moving them towards becoming a financial supporter. So once you actually get someone's email address, your job is simply to keep engaging with them by sending them messages, either in the form of a newsletter, and private email. Now, I want to stress that last part here, the private email. Most of the times when you think of an email list, you think of sending out newsletters, and that's fine. That is part of the process. But a lot of people, especially musicians, get turned off to the idea of sending out a newsletter. It's not exactly feel like the coolest thing in the world to send out newsletters to people. But if you have that email address, sending private messages is an extremely powerful tool. And we've had a lot of success with artists in the past that we've worked with. If they had to get a show, they had a show somewhere and were in a situation where they needed to get people to that show and didn't have a lot of time to do it. If you send out a newsletter, people might read it. But if you send someone a personal message, one that they actually, that comes right from you to them, that they have to respond to, they're going to. It's like if you get a text message or a phone call from someone, you're going to, call them back or send that text message back because they're personally taking the time to reach out to you. So having that email, especially early on when you're building that initial audience, is so crucial. And that's one of the things that you have to realize. Don't think, you think outside the box a little bit. Don't just, hey, I have an email, I'm going to start sending newsletters. I have an email and I'm going to use it to communicate and build a friend or create a friend that's actually going to support my career. And when you get to the point where you think they're ready to buy something from you, you send that personal message and you get them to make a small purchase, something like $10 or less. You get them to buy a track from you, maybe an album, or again a ticket to a live show. And a ticket to a live show is great because once they get to your live show, you can then actually see them in person, maybe for the first time, get to know them, talk to them a little back and forth, have them bring friends, get to know them, get them to sign up for your email, and then you can kind of see how this slowly starts to snowball in your favor and help you build an audience. Now, once they actually go to, now again, the main thing here is just to get them to the point to where you are giving them opportunities to buy content and attend experiences. So if you're sending out a newsletter, you can, if you don't want to really use up your ask, like that ask where you need to have someone come, that's where you have your newsletter come out. You let them know about things that are going on with you. And if something interests them, then they'll click on it. But when you really need something like, hey, I need 30 people to show up for my show, or I have an album release, I'm really wanting to sell this, or I have a crowdfunding campaign, that's when you reach into your pocket and you use the technique by messaging them direct to ask them to come to that show, or please donate to my crowdfunding campaign. All right. And then once you kind of get through that entire process, the major thing here that we want to stress is thank them. Take the time to show your appreciation and thank them. That is so important. When you go through the process of asking someone to help you and they come through and they show up for that show, or they donate money, you want to go overboard and really thank them, because it's that feeling that says that person's going to get from you thanking them that's going to make them want to do it again. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. If you did something nice for someone and they thank you and you can really see how much it mattered to them, then next time they ask you to do something, you're going to want to do it again. Not only just to help them, but you want that feeling of, hey, I did this for this person. And as that person continues to succeed, that you as a fan would be sharing in that success. And that's the experience that you want to give to your audience. You want them to share in your success. Now, when you're kind of going through that whole appreciation process, you can do that in person or online, but you want to make sure that you do it. And again, anytime you can actually do it online is in person is the best way to do it. And if you can't, because of a situation like COVID right now, do a video chat or anything else that you think you can actually do to show that appreciation. And again, when it comes to nurturing your audience, there are other ways that you can go about doing it, but the best way is, again, to market yourself, through social media and email. It is an effective way to do it, and it's probably where you're going to spend most of your time, because at the end of the day, you can't be, in front of your audience 24/7. So this system where someone finds you on social media, you DM them, you work on getting them on your email list, and then you work on, once they're on your email list, getting to know them on a personal level, is your best way to go about doing it. Most artists don't think about that because they're shooting for that million fans, and doing that doesn't work, when you're using that method. But if you're just getting in the head, I just need 1,000 fans, or maybe even 500, depending how much money you actually need to be earning per year, it really makes it more feasible. And this method it makes it fun because again, at the end of the day, you're building your not only just your initial audience, but you're building that group of fans that you're going to have fun with, and that when they come to your shows, it's going to be just this really cool experience where you're seeing all your friends out in the crowd, and you're putting on a show. Everyone's enjoying it. Maybe you have an after party anywhere, so you're almost like also creating like a social life for yourself on top of that, directly tied to your audience. It can be really special if you make it that way, and you create a system you enjoy and that they enjoy. And that's what your ultimate goal is. Now, when it comes, again, to nurturing your audience, the best things that you can do, again, will always be, talking to someone in person. But again, social media and email aren't to be overlooked because it's probably the only way that you kind of work on growing your audience on a daily basis that's practical. Now, when you want to kind of get your, sorry, 1 second, because I'm really not, I'm trying not to cough, and I'm running out of saliva. I've been a little under the weather the last couple of days, but it's not COVID. All right. Anyway, so the main thing here is, the benefits of these things are you want to get away from the algorithm. It's a really tough thing in today's day and age to reach people because of the algorithm. So getting yourself to the point where you're on email and you can be able to communicate, that is what your goal is going to be. And really start putting a personal spin on growing your audience, because that's how you're actually going to get to becoming a full-time artist. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I did like your point. What comes up a lot with our clients when we say get a newsletter is we don't mean get a newsletter. We mean collect email addresses. You don't need to be releasing a monthly newsletter. When artists hear that, they're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work, or that sounds like something that doesn't really ring true for me. And I do recommend sending out a newsletter monthly, but that's not the important part of having a newsletter or a mailing list of some kind. When you're collecting email addresses for your mailing list, you're saying like, oh yeah, stay up to date, get discounts or whatever. Those are the incentives to get a free download, to get their email address. But really, as Greg was saying, you're trying to control your communication with them. So you're trying to get a direct line to your audience, and that comes from the email address. You can take that list and just never touch it until you need it. But again, I don't recommend that. But the important thing is that you have those email addresses. So don't scoff at it. When we say get a newsletter, we don't mean a newsletter. We mean a collection of emails to reach your audience at any time, whenever you have a release or show or anything like that. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, if you think it from this point of view, let's take your music career completely off the table, and you meet someone at a bar, or any other kind of place, and you say, hey, let's exchange phone numbers. Like, that means that, hey, we're going to hang out and talk and do things. If you say, hey, follow me on Instagram, what's that going to wind up doing? You're going to want to follow each other on Instagram, looking at each other, think, probably never talk to each other again. You're just going to follow and support each other on Instagram. Like, there's a big difference between those two things. It's the intention behind that. But actually having that person's phone number, allows you to call them and say, hey, yeah, I got this thing coming up. You want to hang out and do this or whatever. So it's the same premise. It's if once you have their contact information and their email, you can use it to build a relationship. Whereas just following someone on social media today it's such an insignificant commitment. It doesn't really mean anything. It's like actually, if you think your friends on Facebook, most of those people, most of the time when I talk to people, those aren't actually your friends. Some of them are, but not all of them. So it's the same thing here. It's like you want to make true friends, and that comes from actually having contact information.
Yeah. Bulldog chimed in here. Hi, Bulldog. He
Hey,
said,
well,
great presentation. Sounds like we should concentrate on email, coupled with becoming an expert on one social platform. Yes. It's titled email marketing versus social media marketing, but they work together. As Greg is saying, email is more important because the harder part of the customer funnel and the process of turning a follower into a fan is turning them from a follower to a fan. So that's where email marketing comes in, and that's a more difficult thing, and what artists have a harder time doing or forget to do. And it's just kind of that you got to white glove these guys into your community a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with talking to your fans directly and reaching out to them directly through email or direct message or text if you have their phone number. like any gigging musician will tell you that the best, most effective way to get people to your show is to text them and say, "Hey, are you coming to my show?" Like it sounds like a lot of work, and on show day you're running around, and it's not, it's not something you wouldn't necessarily want to do, but it is the most effective way to get people to show up to your show. Obviously you can't do that all the time. You can't, but for your big shows where you want people to show up and you have special stuff going on, you want to reach out to people directly. So anyway, yeah. So social media is more of the kind of the beginning of that relationship. That's how people find you. You always want to have a presence. So if somebody looks you up on their social media platform of choice, you're there, and you look professional. But from there, you want to try to collect that email, and then you want to form a relationship and engage those people directly, rather than just kind of rely on the algorithms of social media to get that content into their eyes and ears. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you got it. Yeah, you need both, but the most important thing, and what I'd like people to take away from this presentation, is the importance of email marketing.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, there's like a 3-level friendship here. It's like social media, everything's casual. You can talk, not talk. It's completely non-committal. And then email, where it's like you're working a bit more. And if someone actually gives you their phone number, they want to you be able to call them. Well, then that's like a super fan. People that can actually, you can just call and ring and say, "Hey, I'm doing this." That's the last step on that kind of rung. So if you want to really think about it, it's a progression getting them through that. You can also make it kind of like a game where it's like, "Hey, I'm starting them here. I'm going to move them through this, and I'm going to get them to the point where I can make friends with them." So it is a commitment, but again, you're not trying to get 1 million fans. You're trying to get your first 1,000 or however many you need to support yourself. Okay, so that's going to be our show for today. And in the meantime, everyone, please have a great day. Thank you for attending. And remember, we're always here if you are in need of help with your music career. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in creating a professional brand that's going to help you to transform your casual followers into financial supporters, then I invite you to take our free brand creation program that we call your Signature Sales Story. You can find the link for it in the description below. And please don't forget to subscribe. Your support really matters and helps us a lot. Have a great day.